Behind the Hooks. With Manny DeGrandis. And Daniel Panetta. And we're back.
Yay.
We took a bit of a break.
Well, because
Dan had his house cleaning.
Dan had his birthday week. He turned 30 and
3-0.
He had a party literally every night. I'm like, what are you doing tonight? Well, I got to go over here. What are you doing over there? I got a dinner over here. I got to open gifts over here.
You know, it was really nice. I appreciate everybody that reached out and all the gifts. Like there was just so much. The coolest part, my parents got me a trip to Nashville.
Oh,
yeah, so I'm going to be heading to Nashville this year for a week.
Yeah, all week, even better.
Yeah, just to, get out and see some people and get reacquainted with the town again and all that fun stuff. And then, had a kick-ass surprise birthday party, which, tripped me out and saw my family, saw friends. Everything was good. It was really nice. As you get older...
older.
The hype.
Here we go. Now he's 30.
The hype of wanting to party starts to dwindle. However,
that's a lie.
It was nice.
I'm ready to party.
It was nice
right now.
to be able to do that.
Ready to party.
Turn my headphones down here.
So now that you're 30, do you feel like you're a has-been?
Don't mention it again.
Do you feel like you're a has-been?
I think I've seen the number 30 enough times for a year.
Yeah.
Do I think I'm a has-been? Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, what is with us musicians, and I'm sure, I mean, I don't think painters or poets or novelists or screenwriters feel the same way. Actors, yes, because it's a look thing. But why is it...
Actors and dancers, yeah.
Dancers, I mean, your body doesn't move the same either. I mean, you're not,
Yeah, tell me about it.
Right? We know that just from getting off of this chair.
The noises I make are insane. I thought everybody that was older than me when I was a kid, and they'd go and stand up and sit down, the noises that would come out of them, it's like, are you sick? Like, what happened? No, they caught age. Like,
they caught age. I was like, age.
Man. No, just, okay, so it was a cool time to reflect.
Yes.
Because, I'm 30, but I've been in this business for 25 years.
Yeah.
And when I say in this business, I was 5 years old, my first paycheck, being a performer. And I remember everything. Like, you're talking, like, from 97 to 2007, doing the Elvis stuff. And then jumping right into a rock band and doing that scene, and then getting into the jazz and classical stuff. Like, I think the coolest part is I don't necessarily look back and say, I wish I did more. It was one of those things where I can look back and go, man, packed a lot of shit into 30 years. You know what I mean? Like, and it's cool. Like, I love doing that. And, I've gotten some giggles especially over the past week from people that are older than me that they say, I'll trade you. It's like, it's not about the age. Yeah. It's about, when you're a child performer and you come up in this industry that notoriously ages you or forces you to grow up so quickly. It's amazing how you forget so many things, little details that like made a huge impact on your life, right? And it's like, it's because there was so much going on. I've been trying to get this hair for like minutes. There was so much going on at any given time. Like you're talking, I still had to go to school, and when I was touring and stuff like that, I had to have like tutors, and the online thing wasn't necessarily a thing yet. So like you have to, work with the school and let them know.
That's gonna kill for these kids now, man.
Yeah, exactly. Easy it is to tour and be a kid, which is terrifying. By the way,
which is terrifying.
But no, do I think that the best parts of my life are like behind this camera, let's say. No, I don't, because I'm doing things now that I never was able to do before. I was never able to be in a funk band. I was never able to be in a corporate, whether it be wedding or fundraisers and all that stuff. I would never be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to write my own songs. Or I had to have a bunch of co-writers where it became so oversaturated with other songwriters. So now that I'm doing things so independently, I can't say I miss one aspect of the past, or the grind of what's going on now is exhausting. I can't differentiate that kind of, like, I can't, it's so separate that, it's like, okay, so that kid lived this life, and I'm looking at it through like these like rose-colored glasses, and it was all like cool and everything like that, all the countries and all the touring and all the suits, and
so many suits,
and then they're all behind this wall in that closet, and then I look at this life now where it's like I'm allowed to go out in jeans, I'm not being followed, I'm able to write my own stuff. I'm able to have my own studio and record stuff out of it. I'm able to have a podcast and speak freely about things. Oh, enough gas to take me to Pittsburgh. I wouldn't trade anything, man. I honestly, I wouldn't trade a thing. So 30 is very interesting because, you 15 years ago, I was 15 and I was in a completely different country.
Yeah.
And I was this kid that had all of these goals and ambitions and things that I wanted to do, see, experience, and eventually work for. Dreams, and I will say this for all you youngsters out there that are looking to be entertainers or songwriters or just get into this business altogether. Dreams don't fail. They change. They morph. There was a time where all I wanted, the only goal I had was get famous, sign to a major label. The dream doesn't necessarily fall apart when it doesn't happen. It just morphs based on what your wants start to become. Now, if I can get a bunch of people in a room listening to the music I make, I'm a happy dude.
Yeah.
So it just changes, Like, I was a punk kid. I was a bit of a dick. I was pompous and all that stuff. And it's like...
Well, yeah, how can you not be?
You learn to grow into yourself a little bit. Right. So it's... the long answer to your question is I don't feel necessarily as it has been. I feel like what could be.
Yeah.
It's
you said something interesting because, I think all of us want... When we were kids, when we picked up the instrument, we want to be signed and all that.
Yeah.
And it's funny because if you work at anything, and morphing was a good word for it, right? But all of a sudden, 10 years pass, they're like, well, I never got that record label. But because you kept working at it, all these other wonderful things happen. And all of a sudden, you're paying your bills.
That's it.
And playing music, and you're growing. And you're getting better.
Yeah.
So, people, you got to work hard for anything you want, no matter what it is. And sometimes you don't get there.
Yeah.
But if you work hard enough and you stay true to yourself, you end up getting what you need.
Wow, the Rolling Stones were right.
Oh my God! Does that come out? Oh my God! I didn't even get. But because it's funny, right? Because it's like. I just, like talking to people, right? Like all the time. It's just like, people, because I'm a couple years older than you. And it's like, and I get that too. Like, are you chasing a dream still? Or are you, and I'm like, no, I just want to play and I want to get better and I want to play with better people. And I want the people I play with to keep working at it. A lot of bands break up or kick out a guy because they're not pushing themselves, right? But with everybody I play with, everybody's like, I know Ian's at home shredding right now on something new, right?
His Bach etudes and
right,
all that stuff.
And he's recording a couple tunes on his own, and
he's
and
putting
stuff
something
like
out
that,
soon.
Which is like, so when you get to this certain level of your life, and then all of a sudden, like everybody's pushing me, right? I see Ian's post, like he's in the studio, and I'm like, well, I want to be in the studio recording my stuff, right? So
yeah, and it's not you're absolutely right. It's not a thing of like jealousy anymore.
No.
It's like, dude, I want that. And not in a jealous way. I know it sounds like it, but it's almost like
it's a kick in my ass.
I just wanna be plopped right in there, or even just be a fly on the wall, see what's going on. You know what I mean?
But it's a kick in my ass, going, hey, he's doing it. I could do something too. I'm gonna go write a tune. It's so funny, like. When you're young, it's like you get mad at those things, maybe. But, I think I've told a story before, but like John Bonham would go see friggin', Mitch Mitchell play, and you just go home and be like, fuck that guy. And he'd just work on it all night and just get better and practice, right?
In any other industry, that would be a toxic thing to do, to try to be better than your colleagues or peers. But there's something about musicians where when you see another musician and they do something spectacular or beautiful or dope, and you just start itching, and it's just like, man, like the amount of the achievement of success comes in so many forms.
Yeah.
Whether it's constantly getting called for gigs, that's a form of success, or being able to pay rent doing music, that's success, or just the sheer fact of being able to escape from the day-to-day bullshit, sit down at a piano or a bass or a microphone or a guitar or whatever you play, and be able to pick it up and destroy that instrument and just be immersed in it and lose time. That's success. Mm-hmm. You found a passion. People go their whole lives without finding a passion. Yeah. And I can't express enough, and I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, but the thing is, there is nothing worse than coming home or going to your significant other, being passionate about something, and them not having that, or your friends who just kind of like drudge through life when it's like, man, just you find your thing,
find something,
find your thing. Just like music is just, it's our thing. That's just it. It's our outlet. It's our source of income. We've managed to figure out a way to make money doing it. Like, all of that is great, but at the end of the day, we had to pick up our instruments and learn it for the first time. There was a time where we had to pick up that thing and develop what we have now. Yeah. Just find your thing. Experiment. No age is too old to try. Just try something.
I've been seeing that a lot, obviously through COVID, but even before that, people like, I'm going to take an art class, a painting class, or I'm going to, I've always wanted to do that, or I wanted to take vocal lessons, and just do it. It's so, I don't know. There's a reason why musicians hang out with musicians and artsy. It's just because so many people just have no drive, and just, I don't know. It's sad.
It is,
right? Like, I don't know, like this weekend, like I just had a friggin' amazing weekend of gigs on top of like the weekend before and the weekend. I don't know, there's obviously, we're different now after all these lockdowns, that, gigs are important. People, the people in the crowd are a little bit more important, but and then playing with people, so I got to play this week with a whole bunch of people that I haven't played with in a while, or in situations I haven't played with in a while. On Friday, I played with this huge band, and there was like 8 of us, and there was some people I haven't played with for 4 years in that band. And then it was just so awesome. And then Saturday, me, Ryan, and Jeff played, and the 3 of us, like I play with Jeff all the time, and I play with Ryan all the time, but then the 3 of us, and me and Ryan always do the duo, so like it was so like, you have Jeff on there, and everybody's got history, and it was just like amazing. And then I run over and go play with Quincy and his family for the first time. Like I'm sitting, it's usually like me, Quincy, and Aaron or something, but like playing with his family, and then like I'm like there, it was just like, it was like so like amazing to be. I've seen them play and stuff, and to be on stage with them, and it's just like, wow, this is so great. And it was like, it's like amazing, right? And people, I don't know. It's just sad if people don't ever feel like that, right? It doesn't have to be music, right? It could be freaking whatever, man.
Anything, just anything.
You're a garden, man. You're
develop
whatever.
a green thumb. That's what my mom did. She went back to school for like botany and like started learning about plants and flowers and stuff like that because she wanted to get into floral design and everything like that. And I was like, that's amazing, Mom. Amazing. Like, that's so cool. I was so proud of her.
You're building like your life.
And even though she's back at work and she's not doing that necessarily, but she took advantage of the time that she had at home. And I was so proud of her for that. And you know what? It's funny because I was thinking about this at my jam on Sunday, and I was, there a bunch of people came out, and that's always a great feeling, is just seeing full tables, and Bill came out with the baby, and he saw for the first time what a jam is supposed to be like, right? And it was very, very sweet. A bunch of people came up and just melted people's faces. It was awesome. And I thought about it, and I was like, you know what gigs are like, man? Gigs are like a high school reunion, especially after lockdowns and not being able to see your musician friends for a long time. And you get to that, you get to the high school reunion, you shoot the shit for a little while, and then it's almost like they ask you to do that cool dance that you did back in the day, and that's the gig. That's you being on stage after the hang is done. You get to go on stage and show people like what you do, and for the audiences, of course, they're having a great time and everything. But what's going on stage is, we speak this language on stage within the music, the tune itself. And it's funny because as time goes on and, you haven't played with these people anymore, you remember their language, but the accents change, the dialect changes. So they're still speaking the language, but they've started to do something different. And it's like, oh, okay, I see where you're going. And then you start waving with the rest of the musicians on stage. There is no better adrenaline rush than trying to piece that together while you're on stage. Yeah. It's the coolest thing when you can have a band that you trust enough to experiment with and have them, just weave with you and whoever's got something going on, whether it's, a wicked like rhythmic pattern that's going on with the drums, and then you're trying to incorporate whatever you're playing, and, a crazy lick that you play, and it's like, okay, what's he doing here? Or, like when you're dropping to something else and it's not the chord progression that the song is known for. It's like, okay, I'm following you now. Yeah. It's a language. And just because like accents are different or dialects are different, it's still the same language. And that's a huge adrenaline rush. It's awesome.
Yeah, and getting like when you think you're doing something cool, and then the rest of the band's like following or saying or like smiling at you, and you're like, oh, it is cool. I thought it was cool, so I'm trying it, but I'm glad everybody's on board now and saying it's cool.
Do you find yourself doing that, like looking to the other musicians on stage for almost approval of what you're currently doing, or are you in your own zone most of the time?
Oh, either. I mean, sometimes if it's so good, you're just like in your own, or you're like whatever. But nothing like, and it happened Saturday, right? Like finish the song, and then you're like, oh, that was great. And you look up, and then someone's, one of the band members waiting to fist pump you, and then someone's smiling across the stage. You're just like, oh, I done good.
Yeah, I always look for that stank. I always look for stank face. You know what I mean? You look. That's the universal of like, oh shit, look what you just did. Like, right. Yeah, there's something, man. It's amazing just talking about it. We get when it gets really busy. You get so tired, and it's exhausting and everything like that. And the body it takes a toll. It does a number on you. Like, I think this weekend was the first time in about 8 months that I've had no pain in my leg because I tore my ACL, and I went to sleep on the chair. I just bought a huge TV, and it's like, okay, I'm every chance I get, I'm gonna sit in front of this damn thing. And so I fell asleep on the chair, and at like 2:30 in the morning, my leg started spasming something fierce, man. And it just started like convulsing, and things were shifting, and it was like I was like biting down on my fist, like for how much pain it was in, and then I passed out because of the pain. I was sweating Woke up the next morning, nothing.
Huh.
No pain, no limping, no stiffness. Like it's a little bit tender just because I've been savoring it for so long.
Yeah.
But it's the first time in 8 or 9 months where I'm able to walk normally again. It's like, man, I'm gonna start jumping off stages again. Maybe not. No, maybe not. No, but things like that. Like it takes a huge toll, and I hurt my leg from doing a gig, carrying gear and stuff like that. And as much as it's great for my heart and cardio to carry those speakers around everywhere, it's you got to be careful. So the point of that is, as much as it does take a toll, I wouldn't trade this life for anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's something really special about looking forward to a weekend in a way that other people might not understand. We look forward to a weekend because we're playing, or we're playing a cool place, we're playing with a cool band. Mm-hmm. It's another cool thing about being hired gun too. It's like you don't know who you're necessarily going to be playing with, and that's wicked, man.
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Yeah, getting those phone calls from people like that. I mean, that's what's fun. Another huge fun factor of our job is just that you never know.
No, you never
know.
You'll ever know.
And that's what's so fun too, because you could play the same song. I've played it so many times, right? Like you play 3 nights in a row and you play the same song with 3 different bands. It's like
completely different accents, man.
It's so fun.
Different accents. Superstition, I've never played the same way twice.
No.
Never, ever. People do that beginning riff differently, or it's in a different key, or the groove is maybe a little bit different, or the tempo, or what's going on in the middle of the song, because you can transition to pretty well whatever the hell you want to. So yeah, you never really play it the same way twice. Those songs, when you make them interesting for yourself, you make it twice as interesting for the people listening and watching, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, and I guess to go back to my point, like it's so weird, because when you think of old people, right? Like we think of the Stones, and it's like they're old, but what they do on stage, like what Mick is doing, is totally amazing. Mm. But then there's other old guys that are that are the real deal, that never made it big. Like some of these blues cats and stuff. Like you go watch them, and they've just got you. I saw Harrison Kennedy not too long ago, and
wow,
Hal Frank put on a show with the Blues Society, and then just him, and he's built it right, like he built it, like his first song he's just playing spoons, and he just him and harmonic, and then he by the 4th song he finally picks up a guitar, and it's just like
sucks you in.
Holy shit! You didn't even have real backing, all that, and it's like. He's not young at all. And what he's doing is amazing. And there's so many of them. Next week I get to see a bunch more of these older guys, and just I just have so much respect that they're still doing it, because I want to be doing it, but doing it that well. Mm. Way better than, Dylan. or whatever,
I find that there's concerts out there, or shows, or musicians out there, that there's a big divide. You're going basically for 2 reasons, and you can ream me out about it later, but you're going to a show or a concert or whatever for one of 2 reasons. Either the band or artist you're going to see puts on an experience, like a show, lights, sound, dancing, whatever. You're going to be entertained, or you're going there because it does something to you. It draws you in. There's a respect factor when you go and see. Like, I know that if I go to see Bobby McFerrin, it's going to be a very different show than if I was going to see Harry Styles. I'm not expecting them to be the same. I'm not expecting the light show at a Bobby McFerrin show, but there's a respect there that, the simplicity of the performance and the curtains drawn back of the production lends to these moments that happen within those types of shows that just it sucks you in, right? That you can't really get from those huge, larger shows, and we talked about going to those larger venues, and it's like you get a lot more of that fourth wall because they can't see you, and you can barely see them. And if you do, you're watching on a jumbotron and it's delayed, and it's just so in your face. Whereas you go to see another show where it's very intimate and all that stuff, and you're almost leaning in to be a part of it.
Everybody's trying to get closer.
You want to hear every little detail of what the master is doing.
Well, that's funny because when I went to see Chris Cornell on one of his, I think I saw both of his solo tours, and it was at the one was at the Sony Center, I think, or one of those smaller venues,
like Sony Theater.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That was it. I think. I don't know.
Because that's a cool spot.
And it's him and guitars, and he's just playing, and it's just like. Halfway through the show, I mean, like everybody was doing that. Everybody's like trying to get
just
somehow leaning in
in
and sitting in their chairs. But it was like, I was like, oh my God, this is the first time I've seen him where I'm not sweating in a million people at Barry Molson Park or, Lollapalooza or whatever. It was like, geez, man, I'm sitting. And like, whoa, like it's just so weird. Like all these years of moshing to Soundgarden, right? I mean, obviously it's a different show, but it was just so amazing that I'm like, oh, like those Soundgarden shows at the Spectrum, I saw them like, being like just wild. I mean, also, we're both of us were much younger than me and Chris, but it's just like, wow. And then I think that was like a huge respect moment for someone who's like growing up and like, here you are, like, I can't run around singing Flower anymore.
Right.
I'm going to do this thing, and it's totally amazing. And then he did, but that was a warm up to Soundgarden too, which was great. But then I'm at the amphitheater, and it's that thing, right? I'm too far, and I'm not feeling it, and it was great, but not great, and blah, blah, blah.
He's one of those guys that just morphed his success. And his journey through success, he morphed it. There's been a very select group of artists that were able to do that. I put Prince in that category. Michael was in that category. Even Stevie, like all those guys that were able to morph their versions of success and bring in not only the people that have been so dedicated to them and their journey and walk with them to wherever they end up, but picking up new people along the way that didn't know that side of them existed, and developing a new fan base just on the sole purpose that your vision of success changes.
There's another guy there, like, so when you like get older and then he leaves his band and he has a solo career, he's going to have to hire guys. He's not going to hire 20-year-olds, right? So are you ever too old to make it? No. How about Ray LaMontagne?
Yeah, Ray, yeah, exactly.
There's a guy who's just writing and killing it, and just he obviously had no PR and no manager and no idea how to make it.
Yeah,
and he just kept writing killer tunes.
It's insane.
But that's that's the other thing, right? Like if you keep at it and you stay true to yourself and you keep working hard, things will happen.
Oh yeah,
you're not.
Someone will take notice.
Someone takes notice, and then the gigs get bigger, and the money gets bigger, and the more comes in. I mean, Adele too. She was, quote unquote, old.
Well, Bruno was almost 30 when his first when his debut album came out, and that's not old, but I mean like that's old in the era.
That's
of pop
old
music.
for top 40 radio. Video.
Same thing. Adam Lambert was 28 years old. Hugh Laurie.
But you know what? That first album, they were mature.
Yeah.
Then there was a vibe to them, and they were a band. I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
But that first album's great. It's a band. It's a band playing with a pop edge.
Totally.
Pop rock.
Hugh Laurie is, everybody knows and loves him as House and as a comedian on BBC with Stephen Fry. Incredible musician, songwriter. Like he's one of those New Orleans blues ambassadors. he's incredible, and I don't think, he had to do all the acting stuff and get acclaim in order to be able to have the luxury of doing what he actually wants to do, which is play music. And I think his debut album came out like 2 or 3 years after House was over. It was well into his 50s, I think. Yeah. And I could be wrong. He could have come out with other music in the UK, but we never would have seen it or heard it. But like his, when he came out with Let Them Talk, it was like, holy crap, where did this come from?
We got to do a little research to do a whole show on those actors that turn musicians, that they look like they turn musicians, but they
were musicians first,
and they went into acting and which is crazy because everybody wants to be an well, not everybody, but people want to be famous and famous actor for whatever reason. Really follow someone and you'll be like, they live a terrible life, horrendous, whatever, money. Ooh, big deal.
Money. I'm telling you, man.
Just hate money.
It's the root of all evil.
I hate it.
But you're right. The cool thing is you get,
when you read up on them.
Yeah,
they wanted to be.
They were music first. Bruce Willis wanted to be a singer and killer harmonica player. By the way, blues harmonica player. He's got it down. But I've heard everything from
Bill Clinton.
Bill Clinton. He's a sax player. You know what I mean? Like. Yeah, they'll either get into acting or some sort of politics, and it's like, what? How, where did? Who the what?
Yeah, a lot of times they don't blow you away because they've put the instrument down for so long.
Patrick Swayze. Patrick Swayze was a singer as well as a dancer. Yeah. I mean, the guy was just a Broadway king.
He's a Broadway king. Yeah.
I think you get some actors you probably shouldn't pick up a microphone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, you see Juliette Lewis, like she'd rather be a freaking. I mean, her dad was. What's his name? The big actor.
Yeah.
John Voight? No, he played in a movie with John Voight. I forget his name. But she ended up just becoming an actress, but she really wants to be a rock star. She wants to be David Lee Roth, actually.
Johnny Depp? Johnny Depp has been in a few bands. He's a guitar player.
He's got an interesting life story.
He does. But that whole era, like, I mean, they all came up like with, River and Joaquin Phoenix, Keanu Reeves, that whole grunge era of actors. You know what I mean?
Because they were hippies. Like a lot of those people, their parents were like legit
in cults,
hippies. And then but cults work, people. Cults work.
Is that the mission statement for this episode? Is just give in to your temptation of joining a cult.
The cults were a great idea with the hippie movement.
Were they? Tell that. Are you kidding me?
As long as, they didn't try to kill you at the end of it all. But, if your cult leader took the right amount of drugs, not too much, and go crazy, then all of a sudden your children...
I guess you never hear about the good cults.
Well, the Phoenixes were in a good cult.
Were they, though?
Yeah.
They changed the last name to Phoenix because they were rising from the ashes of the cult they were in.
No, I thought they made it because of that. Oh, yeah, you're right. 'Cause they were living homeless after that.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to have to do a little bit more reading. No.
Hey, man, I ain't never heard of a cult that didn't end badly, okay?
Yeah, because it'll just be a commune.
Well, yeah.
Okay, that's the difference. There was the hippie communes where they just lived with each other and everything, and then there's the cults. So I think don't join a cult, people.
What do they call it?
Hopefully they listened to the whole episode. Hopefully they didn't just push.
I gotta find out where I heard this quote from, but the thing is, if you believe in something and the leader of the thing you believe in is still alive, it's a cult.
Yeah.
The difference between a cult and religion is that in a religion, that person is dead.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Yeah.
Like the whole thing of oh man, are we really talking about this right now? Because Charles Manson was a musician.
Yeah, that's Look at Your Game Girl. Great tune. Terrible Man. Terrible Man.
Isn't it crazy though how nice that melody is?
I love that
Look
song.
at your game, girl. Woo!
Yeah.
But terrible person.
Terrible.
Awful person. That kind of beauty should not come out of that somebody so tragic.
Guns N' Roses did a cover of that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and they got in real trouble.
Yeah, well, I mean, but That was Oh, I feel dirty saying it was a good song, but it was a good song.
Yeah, it's a great song. But that was his only great song. He had a Beach Boy hanging off of him, so
they were together a lot.
Dennis Wright was.
That's man, what a weird 1969. What a weird experience that must have been to be around that time and just constantly glued to the TV because something crazy shit was going on. People were becoming more enlightened, but also people were really fucking gullible. Like, like really gullible.
Well, yeah, but it was, you gotta look at the time, right? So a lot of the kids were freaky and wanted to be, more free, but the parents were like military.
Well, it's a
parents,
rebellion.
Right? So they take
Every
off,
era
and then
has
where are
rebellion.
you gonna live? You live. Oh, these people are living over here. All right, cool. Take this.
Runaways, man.
Run away.
Yeah. Anyway, let's take a break.
Yeah.
When we come back, I guess we should address an elephant in the room and pay homage and tribute to somebody gone far too soon. We'll be right back. So we're doing something a little bit different today. We lost an icon, somebody that was just full of talent and genuinely a great person and obviously rightfully successful. Taylor Hawkins from the Foo Fighters, the drummer, longtime drummer of the Foo Fighters, and I think Dave Grohl's best friend. So I think that it goes without saying that the industry lost a great, and it's sad that, man, I feel terrible and for the family and friends and everything, and especially Dave though, because it couldn't have happened to a nicer guy again. Yeah. I can't imagine what he's going through, as well as the rest of the band. I mean, they saw each other probably more than they saw their families a lot of the time, and that's rough, man. So as our little podcast here, we extend our condolences to the family, friends, and band members of Taylor, and to all the fans. And that's really, that's really all I can say about it.
It's hard. Everybody's got a great memory of him. He always seemed to have. He was always smiling. I was having a good time.
Yeah.
And he was just a monster on drums.
Yeah.
One of the last rock and roll drummers.
You're right. Yeah.
When he gave it his all.
He always left it on the stage.
And he played for
everything.
The last person in the audience. Like, he wanted to hit everybody. I don't know. It's really hard because when I watch him, I'm always like, I'm not a huge Foo Fighters fan. Actually, I put it this way. I said, I'm not a huge fan, but I love that they're doing what they're doing. And if I see any live footage, I watch the whole thing.
Same, yeah.
On the radio, I'll flip it by. Not always. Some of their first album songs and stuff that they've been overplayed so much. It's just like I don't like playing them on gigs or whatnot. But definitely Dave's songwriting has come a far way, and what I've over the past 10 years is really getting into his other stuff, the side projects that he does, and documentaries, and I've watched them all, and that brought me a whole new. And I think that for everybody, I think he just brought him back in the spotlight because, in some ways, they could sound similar, his songs and everything. And I think if he didn't do all these other things, and if he wasn't such a, well, him and Taylor are just like, I mean, I don't really know the other guys very well. Pat Smear a little bit, but they're just so quiet and non-rock stars, right? And then when you watch the Foo Fighters, you're watching like really the middle. You're focused on Dave and Taylor because they're just so like.
And they were also on all the interviews together. Like they were always the main guys because they were the characters, right? I mean, they're the ones with all the stories and. Man, and when there's kids involved too, it's sad. It's really sad. It's always sad, but you know, I think
they're young, right?
They are, yeah. I think the saving grace in all of this is that the legacy of their father lives on through the music he's put out and the impact he's made throughout the years, and I think that this is going to be a tough road ahead for the Foo Fighters, for Dave, for decisions about the band. I know they canceled the rest of their tour, or at least even just the tour itself, to regroup and just be respectful. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's losing a band member
that's that close. That important.
It changes.
He's number 2 guy, right?
Yeah, because I mean, like, yeah, sure, musicians were a dime a dozen, but there's a chemistry that happens when you spend so much time and so much artistic energy developing something that, will the Foo Fighters ever sound the same? I don't know. I don't know. They're getting up there, and. I'm sure Dave's got some ideas for what he wants to do with the rest of his career, and so do the other guys in the band. But the sad part of it all is, Taylor didn't get the chance to morph and start getting into the twilight years of his musical life and an experiment. But
I think a lot of when generally. It's interesting because with this, it was Friday night and I was on a gig and I opened up my Facebook and the first thing I saw was Grant Taylor posted a picture of Taylor and just had the word brutal on top of it, and I'm like, what does that mean?
What happened?
I'm like, that's weird, and then I'm flipping through and there's nothing, and then I refreshed Facebook and then there's like, and then I'm like, oh wow, he passed away, and I was and it was, generally people lose their minds over the Prince and the Michael and the Tom Petty, right, the singers, right, but for him, I think everybody just liked him, and everybody and he got and okay, as a side man. We got to watch him, especially because he played with Canadian girls on top of it. Like, we got to see him right from the beginning. Sash Jordan and then Alanis. And then he got the Foo Fighters gigs. So you see him just get these bigger and bigger gigs. And then and everybody just loved him. Mm-hmm. Right? So he's kind of like, that's the thing. It's just like, we lost like a good person.
Yeah, he had this charm about him that... he had
no ego.
Yeah, I mean, he's a rock star, but he talked about the funny times with Dave and the his kids. He talked about family. He talked about just loving music and loving the game of it. Yeah, and
what do I have to complain about? I play music for a living. Yeah, I have nothing to complain.
He was very self-aware. Yeah, very self-aware, and I think above anything else, the world lost a great person. And I hope I see a lot of tributes musically. Yeah. Some drum tributes from young musicians that appreciated him and his style and his playing. It's always so goddamn sad, man. It's so sad. And the fact
that he played drums in a drummer's band.
Mm-hmm. That's not easy, man. No, that's not easy.
As soon as Dave got him. The Foo Fighters got him. They, I think everybody was like, okay, there's the drummer, and it changed because now he could play Dave's parts.
Yeah,
right. I don't know if Dave's an interesting drummer too. Like, you know, you're not putting him up there with, you know, Buddy Rich or something, right? But he's up there. Like he's
Of course
so
he is.
friggin' cool. He's got these cool ideas. I mean, I'm not a drummer, but I know playing those songs, I'm like, man, that's some cool, innovative, different, hard.
Yeah,
tricky.
I might be inclined to say that he is our generation's John Bonham, or at least my generation's John Bonham, who never got to experience John Bonham.
Yeah.
And the intensity in which he plays reminds me a lot of that. Dave's a little bit more aware of the tempo, but you know, I think just going solely based on, you know, losing yourself while you're playing, like we were talking about before. He's Dave is one of those guys, and Taylor, he you know, when he got up and sang, you can't help but smile. He's not the greatest singer in the world, but he sang.
Oh my God,
and he was charming, and you know, he's a showman, you know, and he was just great. And you know, it's very sad we lost another great one, and the world is definitely affected by it. So
when you know, there's people talking about, you know, how he died and blah blah blah, and a lot of people are getting mad on Facebook because that's where everybody gets mad on. And, you know, it's so funny because everybody wants to know why a person's died. And we all, it's just human nature, you know, like we slow down for the car crashes and take a look, like, is that wrong? You know, like,
I think I get what you're saying.
Yeah, like,
I think what tends to happen is we have such a fascination with public death, as a 21st century society, because we are so involved in these public figures' lives that of course we have to be involved in how they pass away as well. And it's a psychological part of our human nature and what our human nature has become because of what media has done to open up the veil to celebrity, you know. And I think the question shouldn't so much be how did this person die, but look how they lived, and appreciate how they lived, because death is a moment. He had 50 years of life that we should be paying attention to. So do I think it's wrong to dwell on the present momentary death of a public figure? No, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, because it's the voice of concern and conscience, the conscience that we all have of how did it happen, because we always, you know, do we have somebody in our lives that is going through something similar or had something similar happen to them? So we try to equate the emotion of that family member or friend or somebody that was closer, that person that was closer to us, to this icon to feel closer to them.
Because, you know, it's common knowledge if you're a fan and all that, but he ended up getting a heroin addict, turning into an heroin addiction while he was in the band, and Dave was one of the guys that really saved him. Yeah, he wanted out when he OD'd, and Dave literally, Taylor's words, held him by the hand, and he ended up recording half of that album that was next, and Dave wanted to record the whole thing, but he was just so weak and recovering and trying to kick the habit and all that.
He got to try what he never got a chance to with Kurt.
Yeah. And he saved him.
Yeah.
So now, you know, people don't want, I think for me personally, it's just so sad when someone kicks a habit and then goes back into it. And it just goes to show how terrible COVID living was. And the other thing is, you know, someone put it on Facebook. It was really interesting. Is like, you know, chasing the live high, right? Because when you play live and it's like the perfect, like, you know, you could watch the last concert, you know, that they did. Oh my God, the amount of people, the amount of energy, the lights and the screaming and the singing back and Oh my God!
It has to affect.
How do
a
you
person.
get off of that stage and just like, okay, I'm going to bed now, right?
You
Like
constantly try and chase
you're
that.
wired. You're just like wired, and you know, and these are songs you wrote, and you know, like I get wired after playing a cover gig, man.
Well, I can tell you from experience. So
Yeah.
I was doing a rather large show. There was about 18,000 people. And it was the first time I was doing my own stuff. It's back in 2011. And I thought I was hearing like a mad delay that I wasn't a big fan of in my monitors. And then I heard the echo and I was like, that's not my monitors. That's the crowd singing the chorus.
Yeah.
And I made the band quiet down and I just stopped singing. And my cousin, my oldest cousin was getting married that same night. And I, you know, after the show and the meet and greet and everything like that, I went straight to the wedding in my show gear. And I saw my parents and the first thing I did was sob.
Yeah.
I just sobbed because like, you know, you put so much into the songs that you write or, you know, trying to express yourself in some way and to have it reciprocated back to you. There's, honestly, I don't know in my life of a better feeling.
No.
I know that, you know, having children and having them, you know, say dad or mom for the first time or, you know, their achievements, there's a rush there as well. But, you know, for somebody who doesn't have children, and it's like these songs are basically my kids. You raise them as best you can and then send them out into the world, right? And there's no way it can't affect you. I'm sorry for the English nerds out there. That's a double negative, but you have to be affected, you know. And a lot of these icons, these celebrities turn to drugs because it is very overwhelming, and there's not really an outlet for them in a way to cope with that, because I mean you're put on this such a tall pedestal. It's either one, very lonely, or it's devastating when there's that silence. You know, when there isn't anything going on, or you're trying to be a family man, but you're also a rock star.
Yeah.
Like, how the hell do you do that? And they were doing it. They were doing it, and everything was, you know, it was so endearing to see them and watch them talk about their kids and see them with their kids in the studio and their off times and stuff like that. But man, it's just sometimes it's sad. It's just not enough.
But it's also, you know, we always, like, what I hate about all of this, all our heroes have died with doctors' prescriptions in them, right?
Yep.
So this is, we're not so much in Canada, but like, but it does happen, you know, like the morphines and the perks and the, like,
Oh yeah, people just getting overprescribed is a thing. Yeah, that happens
it's just
here.
so, you know, like, I don't know, man, like, yeah.
Well, doctors are on payroll, man.
Exactly.
Doctors are on payroll down there.
And the whole, there's just, yeah. So drugs are bad, but not like everybody's like, you know, you smoke marijuana or whatever. Not as much now because it's legal, but it's like, man, like the shit that the doctors give you are
10 times worse, man.
Terrible.
10 times worse.
So, you know, all of Michael's drugs were prescribed.
Yeah, you can't exactly get propofol for somebody on a street corner.
Yeah. So, right, like,
I mean, if you can, holy
you know,
crap.
and
Like,
it's like he was a drug user, yeah, because he listened to his doctor, and then
it was the same thing with Elvis, man.
Yeah, Elvis. Oh my God,
He had Dr. Nick on the payroll.
Dr. Nick,
who was giving him uppers to get him awake and downers to put him to sleep because he had terrible insomnia because of the uppers he was on, and it made him it destroyed his metabolism, which is why he gained weight, and obviously his diet didn't help. You should have had a nutritionist
instead. Yeah,
that would have helped with everything, you know, to get him on the right track, especially with the amount of work he was doing. But it's that irresponsibility, and it's like the whole chasing it. It's chasing it, and you're constantly trying to be the best that you can be for your fans, and that will kill you.
Problem with like a guy with Elvis, like he was very introverted. Like he couldn't, like at least Taylor could walk into but all the lead singers can't. But he could walk into a bar and people like, "Yo, hey, what's happening?" Maybe a high
he's approachable.
five, and then he could turn it around. But like, oh my God, Elvis or Michael, like you can't just go to a bar and sit there and not get like you're getting like people are jumping on top of you, right? They're not just like high fiving you or giving you a shot.
No, they're shutting down shopping malls so you can do a day trip at the mall.
Oh my God, Michael!
Mike, you remember that?
Walking around the mall.
I don't know how I felt when I first saw it. I was rather young when I first saw that, but seeing that on that documentary and watching it, them having to like shut down sections of the mall, and then the people finally getting in, and the pandemonium of it. You can't be normal and have that life. No, you can't. It's impossible to be normal and have that life. You're. How do you can't people properly at that point, Elvis never left the country. Elvis never toured outside the country. He stayed in the US. The only time he left was when he was in the army. He went to Germany. And but his whole touring, movie and concert life was in the US. You couldn't he was so recognizable. Like Michael, like Prince, you can't go anywhere.
Can't do anything.
He used to go to the dentist at 3 a.m. Seriously, that's where he was getting back from when he died. He was at the dentist's office at 3 o'clock in the morning. Crazy, man. How do you live? How do you live? So going back to Taylor, if not for anything, the world lost a great person. Yeah. And I think that you see the tributes all over social media and on the news, and nobody's got anything bad to say about him.
Not every day. Jimmy Page, Elton John.
They're all coming out of the woodwork like that, man.
Throwing up pictures, not just like kind words. Like here's a picture of me.
Them together. Like it's not just like a beautiful photo of Taylor. It's like they were standing side by side. They met.
Watch the Alanis Morissette documentary. She talks about couldn't have come out.
I had a better time, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it came out a year ago or something, but she talks about that jagged little... I mean, it helps you understand why she kind of disappeared, too. Mm. But, the band, her and the band were... Like they were a band. That's what she thought, right? Or, she never treated them like hired guns. They were...
Well, that whole album, I mean, like that was her kind of first time being immersed in that, the rock stylings, because she was doing dance music before that, right?
So she was playing the DJs and tracks or whatever, right? And then she had, and Taylor was in the band and,
shaped her sound. Yeah, shaped her sound completely. Yeah, because nobody remembers the dance hall days of Alanis Morris.
Yeah, exactly.
First thing to think about is Jagged Little Pill.
And just he was, I don't know, young then, 20 something, but like that tour alone, destroyed her career. Yeah, right. Like she, and then those guys were on it. They were there too, Chris Chaney and everything. But they were kids, so they were having a lot of fun. And, they'll talk, watch it. They talk about it. She have to get mad at them. There's too many girls. You guys are on a hand. Oh, shit. You guys are on it. But they were all kids, man, and to do a tour like that, what was it, like almost 2 years or something? Just like, okay, we'll go do that again because we got bigger.
Put it in perspective. Like, think about this. Anybody listening? Is there anybody out there? Listen, just imagine yourself at 20 years old. Just say 20. I know there's younger, I know there's older, but imagine yourself at 20 years old. And tens of thousands of people are screaming your name at the top of their lungs.
In a different city every night, like that many people.
If you are going to sleep that night with both eyes closed and, head on the pillow and sleeping like a baby, you're not understanding, or you're doing it wrong. There's no way you're not affected by that. There's no way. Like, in history, the only times that would happen, if you go back in time to ancient history, is if you were a prophet, and even then it was village by village. Yeah. So you're getting maybe like 40, 50, maybe 100 people doing that, or you were a political figure or a religious figure of some kind, and then you were a civil rights activist. Artists weren't looked like at this way until around the Beatles, really, and Elvis and the rock and roll side of things. Because I mean, like, people weren't screaming like this for Sinatra.
No.
They were excited. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, like,
but Sinatra was able to. Like, he hung out, man. He was always out.
Yeah.
He wouldn't do a show, and like, if anything, he would leave the show to go to another bar, and he would not. They were out.
Yeah.
Now they were. I think those times are a little different, only because that psychoness of the Beatlemania and Elvis mania like wasn't happening. But I just think they were. They were in the champagne room or the bottle service room kind of thing, where they felt like they were a little bit out of the way, but they're still there.
They were still out there.
But like Elvis couldn't be in the bottle service circle.
No, I mean, when he tried,
friggin', like, there's
no, he just built one in his house and had the celebrities come to his house to hang out, because there's no way he was able to go out.
The Beatles went over, and everybody went over. He had
the Beatles over once, and I think he had John Lennon. No, he had Paul McCartney over another time. He had Tom Jones there a couple of times. He had a bunch of celebrities came over, and they had jam sessions in the piano room, right? And like, that's such a cool. That, just thinking about that, it's like to have that little piece of normalcy, to just hang
in the
out.
Same house, and then they all leave, and he's
alone again.
Same room, right?
That's why relationships don't work with these guys. That's why they end up divorced and everything like that. How can you replace or even equate the attention you get from touring and that lifestyle and people screaming and your name and stuff like that to, like, hey, you take out the garbage, like,
yeah.
It's like, do you realize where I was just last night? Like,
yeah, which was I watched that Pam and Tommy documentary.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, of course.
I gotta catch that. I'm always late to the game.
A lot of things, obviously, there's I watch it with the eyes of, like, that was a period where Motley Crue were failing.
Yes.
And stuff. But the amount of money they already had, right? So when you, like, the craziness of, like, let's just go to Jamaica, or let's just get on a plane and get, like, let's go to, they just pick up and go. And it's just the amount of money.
Yeah.
But also, Tommy Lee, being all that money and a huge band, was still able to hang out in bars.
Right.
And strip joints and whatever. They would fly home after a gig. They would go so they could go to their LA strip joints.
Right.
And drink all night. Like, they would be like, okay, they would fly home. They get off the stage and fly home.
Yeah. You know who I feel bad for with this whole Pam and Tommy thing is Tommy's current wife. Because how are you gonna have a biopic about, like, you and your ex when the current wife is like, like, really? This is coming out? It's like, he's not with her anymore, right?
Yeah. I mean, the way it's all about the tape, which is cool.
Yes.
I mean, they happen to be there. But what's funny, like, the dirt hardly touches on Pamela. And have you seen? And then, and they've both, called each other the love of their lives.
Yeah, so it was Carmen Electra was for Dave Navarro too. Look how that turned out.
I don't know where she is nowadays.
Do we know where Dave Navarro is?
Yeah.
What's he doing?
He was in a band with fucking Taylor. a side project.
Oh, is one of the side projects with Dave?
Yeah. And Chris Chaney, the Linus Morissette bass player, and Jane's Addiction bass player. Yeah.
I thought he was just too busy hosting reality shows for tattooed people.
Well, is he still doing that?
I don't know. Ink Master, is that still on? Leave in the comments if you've seen it recently, because I'm not going to go look for it.
Yeah.
But I remember when he was hosting like Rockstar in Excess and Supernova and stuff.
Supernova, and then they had a TV show, him and
all
Carmel,
surrounding Carmen Electra,
yeah.
and all based around their very weird wedding. And
they were putting anything on TV back then, man.
oh yeah, when Jessica Simpson and Nick Lachey had their show, The Newlyweds.
Oh my God! And that's
reality shows in the late '90s, early 2000s were the funniest thing. MTV was just covered in
anything.
What a weird time to be alive.
They're
Speaking
like,
of
they like
MTV.
the old people, they like the new people.
Yeah.
They like the messed up people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, MTV. Remember when they used to play music?
They used to play music, and then they went to reality TV, and obviously made way more money.
Doing that, yeah, absolutely.
Way more money, because the amount of shitty shows they kept putting out, they're making money.
Yeah, video killed the radio store and internet killed the video store.
Yeah.
Where's that sequel song?
Yeah. Come on, people. I want to hear a hit.
Anyway, you got anything else to talk about?
I don't know.
I got nothing else to talk about.
Man. Just
cheers, and just if you have someone that's in trouble, there's outlets out there, and I guess don't be afraid to take the initial step and offer your hand and help, because they're not always gonna come to you and ask for it. So just care about people. That's all.
Yeah,
I think.
Right. So much easier now.
How do we talk about Charles Manson having a beautiful voice to care about people on the same podcast? How do we sleep at night?
Girl.
How do we sleep at night?
I told people to join cults until I took that back. So
this is a roller coaster of an episode, man. Roller coaster. Yeah. So we're gonna have a guest next week, and probably I don't know.
We'll see. No one's answering our calls. It's really awkward.
They're not answering your calls. Don't bring this back on me, man.
I just keep forgetting to push send.
I'm getting weird requests for people to come on the show that have almost nothing to do with music, and it's okay. I mean, that's cool. You wanna come on the show and shoot the shit, but I mean, it's a topical podcast. You can't really just talk about anything, right?
No.
So
we didn't even talk about the smack.
Well, now that you bring it up,
no, we're ending.
I think
I give you
the smack itself. I think is A flat. If you listen to it closely,
it's an A flat.
It's an A
well, you
flat.
would know over me.
But I mean, Will Smith was a rapper. It's technically music.
Oh yeah, he was a rapper.
So the smack heard around the world.
Behind the Hooks with Manny DeGrandis.